Kia ora, boys and girls. Welcome to another episode of The Drop Clutch with me, Ricky V. In this series, I am interviewing as many metal drummers from around New Zealand as I can get to try and get some insight into what makes these guys and girls tick. Now, tonight's guest needs absolutely no introduction, but fuck it, I'm going to give him one anyway. He is the guitarist in Blindfolded, or one of the guitarists in Blindfolded and Led to the Woods. As much as I hate this saying, they have definitely taken the metal world by storm since their last album, Rejecting Obliteration, was released roughly in the middle of last year. He is the solo artist behind Pill Murray, who, if you wanted to know what an acid trip was like in music form, there's your fix. And of course, most importantly for this interview, he is the drummer for Plague of the Fallen. Tonight's guest is Stuart Henly-Minchington. How the fuck are you, Stu?
Hey, bro. I am fucking good. It's been a lovely day, and I'm stoked to be here with you, man.
Well, I really appreciate that, bro. So, to get us started, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, more than I've already done? Tell us a little bit about yourself, about Plague of the Fallen specifically, the history of the band, all that kind of good stuff.
Well, funnily enough, I was originally actually, when I first joined Plague, I was the guitarist. This is going back years now. But Plague of the Fallen has always been my brother Vin's band, his project. He started it like way back in the Rockwest days. So it's been like a long time project for him. I've been in and out of the band a couple of times. Like I said, I was the guitarist at one point. Actually played one of my a show I'm really proud of on guitar with Plague, which was opening for Ulcerate here in Christchurch.
Fuck yeah.
The only time I've ever got to play with Ulcerate was with Plague, so that was always a pretty big deal for us. And the band kind of went on hiatus not long after that, and I think it was on hiatus for maybe like 6 or so years, something like that. And then Vin decided to get the ball rolling again. And yeah, put it together with me on drums, Sam and Matt from Organectomy on guitar. And we've just kind of gone from strength to strength since making this new lineup. Putting new music out, playing a lot more shows. And I think the lineup is really solid now. We've got Dan Ferg on guitar now, who replaced Matt.
Sure.
So coming into this year, slightly new lineup, which is super exciting because we're going to have like the double vocals. It's going to be fucking sick. It's all coming together really nicely. But yeah, I mean, me as a musician, I don't know, man. I've just played music for as long as I can remember. Started on guitar when I was about 9 years old, and completely self-taught on both guitar and drums. Just sitting in my room, chipping away at stuff, trying to figure it all out. And here we are,
Here we are. That is Dan Ferg from Utilize the Remains, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Fuck yeah. Super dope vocalist, super dope guitarist. I'm excited to see what Plague does next. Now, you said that you started playing guitar at 9 years old. How old were you when you started drumming, and what got you started?
So drums is a bit of a weird one because I never ever really considered myself like a drummer. I was always a guitarist first and foremost, but I kind of, maybe when I was like around 11 and I was really starting to like get into music and start to understand music a lot better, I was always drawn to the drumming and music I was listening to, and to the point where, I had a pair of drumsticks at home. I'd just ear drum along to stuff that I liked, trying to figure out, like looking at pictures on the internet, like, where is that cymbal? Oh yeah, that cymbal's there, like snare drum, toms and all that. Just ear drum along to shit. Eventually put together some like pots and pans and upside down buckets on like a bit of plywood that I had, and just tried to figure out how to play drums like that. Eventually just playing on the kits at school. And I think when I was about 16, I got my first drum kit. And it's the drum kit that I still have now, the M Birch Mapex 5 piece.
The red
Pretty
one.
similar setup. Yeah. That's my kit I've had
Wow.
my whole life. Um, yeah, so I got there when I was about 16 and have just sort of built it up and maintained it over the years. Um, and yeah, drums sort of came to me a lot more naturally than guitar did. Like guitar, I had to work a lot to figure it out. Drums, I for whatever reason had some sort of natural abilities and a bit of natural rhythm. And when it came to really getting into metal music, which is obviously like the main genre I love to play, um, I just like I could just do blast beats, and I was like, sweet, like these guys, I love fast drumming, I love all that shit, and I was like, I've got to figure out how they're doing these blast beats, and that's just been my mission ever since, just to play blast beats and fast metal drums.
No one would ever tell by listening to Plague of the Fallen. No one. Cool. You mentioned, listening along and trying to play along to bands that you were into. Can you tell us some of the drummers that were big influences on you, that you were listening to as you were air drumming along?
Hmm. So in the early days, it was all your kind of classics, like I was obviously really into Slipknot and System of a Down and stuff like that.
Sure.
Um, and then I think, when I started really diving deep into like death metal and stuff like that, Tony Loreno, the original, one of not the original, but those that early Nile drummer, and then on to George Callias. Obviously, he's probably my biggest influence. Um, Nick Barker in the early Demo days. Loved his stuff.
Sure.
Flo Mornier from Cryptopsy, massive inspiration. Pete Sandoval from Morbid Angel. Um, in later years, it's been like John Longstreth, Dominator, um, even like Paul from Cannibal Corpse, just like that old school shit.
Sure.
Um, yeah, man. But I mean, my biggest influence would be George Callias when it comes to drumming. I love guys with a bit more like unorthodox style, maybe not as like picture perfect as like some people are these days, but like I just love that old school flair, um, weird styles and just fucking fast.
Sure. Sure. Well, I've actually got a bone to pick with you. I nearly set my fucking drum kit on fire. It was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And I've seen you play a handful of times in Wellington with Blindfolded. And so I knew you were this great guitarist. And I'd never seen you post anything about drumming. And then you posted a Nile cover. And, I already, not to blow smoke, but I already respected you as a guitarist because of what you do in Blindfolded. And as soon as I seen that you were a better drummer than me, I was this close to dragging my drum kit out and setting the fucking thing on fire. Yeah.
I wouldn't say that that there's any competition, you know what I mean?
No.
Or that anyone's better than anyone else. But um likewise, man, I've seen your drumming and it's fucking insane. And there's so many good drummers in New Zealand. It's fucking awesome. Like, Levi, James Vanna, guys that you've interviewed. Um, yeah, there's so many good drummers around. It's fucking sick. And the quality is just getting better and better.
Fuck
Not just
yes.
of drummers, but of bands, Everyone's kind of leveled up a lot in the time that I've been playing metal anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. The exposure for New Zealand bands has definitely propelled that as well. You know, Kiwis being able to see that Kiwis can not necessarily make it, but can make an impact in the metal world, which is not something it's kind of been there, but not to the level that it is today. And so that's
Mm.
helping to fuel everybody coming through. So yeah, 100% agree. you've already answered half of my questions. Thanks, Stu. Getting on to your drumming specifically, how would you describe your style?
Man, I'm not really sure. I mean, like amongst the Rats, the Plague album that's just come out, that's the first album that I've ever drummed on. So I've been on like a couple of EPs and random stuff. Um, but that was the first one where, it's like all recorded drums. Um, and my kind of goal out the gate was just to make something that was like memorable. I wanted to make something that had like memorable fills and the stuff that I loved to listen to when I was growing up. Um, you know, it's something that in some aspects of modern metal is not so much there anymore. I find anyway. Um, but those just like memorable drum moments. Um, I was listening to a lot of like Demigod by Behemoth. I love
Sure.
Inferno. And I had this like realization. I was like doing some gardening and listening to Demigod, and I was just like, fuck, like I know all these drum fills off by heart, and I hadn't listened to the album in like years, and I just had randomly put it on. And I was like, man, that's fucking sick to have created a drum album that's so memorable, and that was really my main goal for the drumming in Plague. I mean, I don't ever foresee myself being like the fastest drummer. Like shit's gone way way insane now with people like the bro for Spencer from Archspire and stuff like that. It's like
Oh,
how do you even I can't even fathom the speeds that some of these dudes are playing. So for me, it's like I just want to hit really hard. I want to be able to keep up with the songs that Vin writes, um, and just have be a solid death metal drummer.
sure. Uh, I think I speak for everybody when I say you've definitely achieved that, man.
Thank you.
You brought up the songs that Vin writes. Um, you know, feeding off of that, can you actually tell us about the writing process for Plague of the Fallen?
Yeah, definitely. So, it's always been Vin's project. I freaking love the way that he writes. Just you know, no frills death metal, and it's just the perfect sort of death metal that I like. It's there's just enough atmosphere, but it's just tough as fucking hard hitting. And that's Vin through and through. I'm fucking so proud of him. So proud to be in a band with my brother. It means a lot to me.
Sure.
And he writes the songs. We're pretty typical kind of like modern band these days where he writes the songs on Guitar Pro and demos them and everything, and we come together and kind of um, when it comes to the drumming, he will write the drums and everything, and I'll come and put my own flair on the drumming. And like I say, just try to focus on making those memorable kind of moments. Um, I don't like to like overplay. I think that like Plague of the Fallen is the kind of band where um, there's like a massive focus on the vocals and on just kind of like the overall feel, the riffs and shit. So it's kind of like I want it to be like one big package. I don't try to be the most technical or anything like that. I just want to play the songs and do stuff that serves the music.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, speaking of the music, the album, my edition or my copy of Amongst the Rats arrived yesterday. Holy fuck. Holy fuck, dude. It is insane. Um, Interestingly, well, I noticed that basically none of the songs go over 3 minutes. I think the longest one's like, from memory, it's like 2 minutes 54 or something is the longest song. Uh,
Yeah, we do joke about that.
yeah. Sure. Hey, fuck it. Ain't got time to fuck around. Let's get out of here. Yeah, but I just want to, I mean, everybody already knows. I guarantee it, everybody watching this already knows. But fucking amazing album, really amazing album. Holy shit!
Yeah, sure, bro. We
Fucking
had a hell of a good time making it.
fuck yeah! It sounds like it. It's not not groovy, or not. How do I want to say it? The first album was just super fast and super aggressive, and this one it feels like there's a little bit more flow and a little bit more groove without being groove. Um, was that a conscious decision, or is that just something that happened with Vin as he's, got more time with this band and more time with you guys and that kind of business?
Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, I think like everyone they grow as like songwriters, their style kind of starts to shine through more. Um, and I think Vin's style is really, coming into its own, and it was already so sick, even in the early days. Like he was blowing people away with his tunes back when we were fucking kids, back when we were teenagers. And he's just, chipped away at that same style. He hasn't really strayed from it too far, but just really honed in on it. Um, yeah, fucking sick. Yeah, love playing his songs.
Sure. Getting back to your drumming specifically, is there a specific technique that you are working on at the moment?
Um, the last kind of few years, I have really just wanted to get my double strokes on the kicks down. That's been my main goal, and kind of starting to get there. Like I'm really happy with how it all turned out on the album, and I'm pretty happy with how it's going live. I am just still trying to figure out those like the technical side of things so that I am more consistent um live with like setting up and packing down like triggers and all that are all like still fairly new to me. So I'm trying to trying to figure all that out. Um I probably need some new kick pedals. I probably need a new set of I've got like a set of demon drives that I use that I bought for like $200, and I just recently put like some new springs on them, and they're like, they're holding together. But I think it's really time to upgrade to a new pedal. I've never had a brand new pedal. I've just had like secondhand fucking eliminators, and it's probably time to invest in a good set.
Oh,
Um, but yeah, like technique wise, I'm not like I don't get too hung up on it, and I just I just like to play drums. Um, I don't like I said before, I don't really want to be like the fastest drummer. Just want to be able to hit super solid, super consistently, and yeah, technique wise, I don't really like think about technique. I don't think I have like good technique. I'm not out here on YouTube watching people like give tutorials on how you're supposed to do blast beats and shit like that. I'm just fucking out here just trying my best.
sure, sure. Now you are definitely the right person to talk to this about. I believe you've signed a couple of record deals in a couple of bands now. Is that right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
as most of us have no idea what that process is like, what it looks like, how it starts. Can you give us a little bit of insight into how it started for you and what the process was?
Yeah, well it's fucking not easy, that's for sure. And you know, the internet's a weird thing because it's been such a good thing for music, but it's also been like the worst thing for music ever. Uh, so we're in this like weird time now where you kind of hope that, maybe someone will hear your tune somewhere, but it's so oversaturated, it's so hard to break through. Um, any advice I would give would just be have all the stuff up your sleeve, like a solid EPK, good video clips, um, professional manner on social media and stuff, because most of these people aren't going to be people that are watching you play a gig in your hometown. They're going to be people who find you online. And yeah, like with blindfolded signing to prosthetic. That was like a massive deal for us. But it took it took like 10 or 11 years before that happened, you know? So it's not like we're in a band and then like, yeah, we like got signed. It was like we're in a band doing the hard slog for fucking ages and released a few albums before even we even got an email reply. So it's hard because you put it out there and you put in everything into this music and everything into the recordings and the releasing and your promo and everything, and it can pretty much go nowhere. So it's fucking hard, and we've been in that position. And just because we're signed to prosthetic now doesn't mean that our albums will do well. You know, um, yeah, it's hard, man. It's a really hard thing to navigate, and yeah, I'd just keep chipping away at it, man. Anyone that wants to get there, if you've got the drive, just keep chipping away at it. Some days it's easier than others, you know. Some days it's pretty easy to be like, fuck this, but um, stick at it. It ain't
Oh,
easy, but you know, those times where you get to open for a big band or, you know, get some opportunities like that come your way, makes it all worth it.
fuck yeah. All right, we are fast approaching the end of the show, but first we've got to play a little game I call First, Last, Best, and Worst. So this is focusing on your drumming, please, Stu. Tell us the first show that you ever drummed at, the last show that you drummed at, the best show that you've ever played, that you drummed at, and then the worst show. But that can also be funniest moment, funniest on stage, something of that nature. Let's start with the first show that you ever drummed at, please.
All right, I don't even actually know. I don't know
Oh,
what that
yeah.
could be.
Cool.
Um, it was probably with like a jazz fusion band that I played in. Um, this is going like way back in the day. It was kind of like Primus style, and I was playing like metal music at the time, but um, yeah, I was in this like jazz fusion band. It was called Slave to the Illusion. My friend Corey, who unfortunately is not with us anymore, but absolute GC and phenomenal bass player, like slap bass, just like Primus Styles, old what's his name?
What's his
Um,
name? Fuck, I'm trying to remember now.
the Primus guy,
Yeah,
fucking weirdo, a weirdo in the best way. Um, but yeah, it was probably it may have been that band. It may have been something random earlier. I did like back when I was young. I was in like a System of a Down covers band and random shit like that, but nothing that ever really played properly. Yeah,
sure.
I'm not too sure.
All good. The last show that you played.
That would have been the Plague of the Fallen shows with Cattle Decap, I think.
Fuck yes.
Um, or it was potentially our album release. I can't remember which one came after the other, but either way, they were all fucking awesome. Playing with Cattle was amazing. That dude is an insane drummer. I don't know if you saw them, but yeah, that was awesome. Travis Ryan on vocals, like can't go wrong. Absolutely blew me away.
Fuck yeah. I was actually at the Wellington gig, Plague,
Oh, sick. Yeah,
Organectomy,
yeah.
and Kettle Decap. And yeah,
Yeah,
fucking what a show. What a show.
yeah, it was awesome.
Fuck yeah. Next is what was the best show that you have played?
Best show on drums, probably our album release. Um, I think that was hands down the tightest set I've ever played. Um, it's not often you walk off stage feeling good about how you played, It's kind of rare sometimes, but man, I that was one of those gigs where I was actually genuinely stoked on how it went and the sound was awesome. We had Sam Peterson on sound. He made the venue sound great. Yeah, super, super stoked on that one.
Sure. And you played that on your own kit as well, right?
Yeah, yep, used my kit
Yeah.
that night. So
Yeah. Amazing the
that
difference it makes, eh?
oh,
Fuck yeah.
honestly, that's like, yeah, That's the hardest thing, I think, is getting up and playing on someone else's kit when you spend so much time on your own, and so often it'll be a kit that's so different to yours. Like, I'm looking at the setup behind you there, and it's like,
That's
you
my
know,
baby. That's
yeah,
my
like
baby.
I think I'd do okay on that. But then when you get up onto like a kit and it's like a 5 piece, and you're like, where are all my toms and where all the cymbals stand?
Yeah. I played a show where the floor tom, there was two rack toms and the floor tom, but the gap between the second rack tom and the floor tom was like this much. And as you can see, I have mine very tight.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a pretty ratchet gig that I played, not gonna lie. And last, what's the worst show that you've played, or the funniest on stage moment? Maybe you've hit yourself in the eye, or somebody's taking a piss in the corner. What's Tell us about that.
There's probably a bunch of shows that I can't talk about, not on the internet anyway.
Sure.
But I think like one of the worst gigs I've done in recent times on drums was, I think it was in Timaru. We were doing a random little tour down south, and the kit that was provided had like a 24-inch kick drum, and I'd never played on a 24-inch kick before, and like it was just monstrous. And because of like where the beaters were ending up hitting, like I just couldn't get like the double strokes or anything happening. So I had to just like strip the songs back and just drop into like, kind of simplify things because it was just not happening. And I was pretty gutted after that one, but I kind of learned, okay, well, 24-inch kicks don't work for me, and I know that now. um, Man, yeah. I mean, there's been so many ups and downs. I've been playing metal music for a long time now. Um, but some of the best times in my life has been doing this as well. So
Fuck yeah.
I kind of don't think, well, I try not to let those bad ones keep me up at night, but some days it's hard. But yeah, fucking love it. I love doing this shit. I love playing.
Fuck yeah, absolutely. All right. So this is the very final part of the show, Stu. So this is your time to make any plugs that you want to make any shout outs to any people that you want to shout out to, sir. The floor is yours.
Oh, one person I forgot to mention earlier was Kuda, actually. Kuda, the new blindfolded drummer. I wanted to give a quick shout out to him because that dude is insane, and he's been really inspiring me on the drums lately. Um, I can't wait to see what people like for people to see what he's up to on the new blindfolded stuff. He's an absolute weapon. Um, Man, shout out to everyone that is encouraging metal to keep going. I think when I started playing metal, there was a lot of like tall poppy syndrome in the country, and I think over the years I've seen a lot of that like slowly disappear. So, like, shout out to everyone who's helping the scene head in that direction. Um, just everyone who's playing metal, keep it up. Everyone's going hard. It's fucking inspiring. Buy one of these. Buy one of these. Yeah, we got some merch and new stuff on our Bandcamp, so feel free to check it out. The cassettes are really cool. I love the cassettes are coming back.
Sure.
And yeah, just keep going out to shows, keep buying everyone's merch. Yeah, keep supporting the scene. And you, bro, massive shout out to you for having me on here for doing this shit. Yeah, it's fucking cool, man. Like you said, like drummers are sometimes back in the shadows behind the front men, but it's really been awesome to see you interviewing um some people, and there's been people who I wasn't aware that they were the drummer of that band, and it was like, oh sick, this is I've seen that band or whatever, and it's like this is the dude behind the kit. How good. um so yeah, thanks, man. Shout out to you.
Wow, that is fucking very sweet. Thank you so much. Bro, Stu, thank you so much for being here, man. This is fucking awesome. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, man.
Thank you so much for watching. This has been the Drop Clutch with me, Ricky V. We'll see you next time.